Hello everyone, this is the Random Engineer. So today I'm going to continue with the series about SolidWorks design. We're going to go over some new features and hopefully we're going to take a little bit more time to go into more detail into some other a little bit more complex features. So starting, I'm just going to go again to a new part, go Control N, part, OK. And today we're going to talk about the revolved boss base. So this is basically a revolution of any shape you have. So I'm going to create a sketch. I also noticed on my previous video that you guys cannot see this that feature wheel. So I'm just going to stop using it. So yeah, I'm going to create the sketch, front plane, and start designing. So right now I'm just gonna draw some stuff that may or may not be useful. So if you go line and click on a point, go back to the point and go out, it turns into an arc. So that's what we're doing, and then it begins to be a line again, and if you go to a point, it will turn into an arc again. So I'm just having this odd shape. So right now we have that shape, but I want this line to be horizontal, so I'm just gonna click horizontal, and I'm gonna make this 30mm radius, and it's still not completely defined because we haven't set how much the length of the radius or diameter. So remember we talked about I believe it was construction geometry. I'm just going to create any line, and this is for construction, and go select. I will select the line, select the point, or maybe let's select the arc, and it will give us the radius. But if you go past the construction line, it will give you the diameter, obviously from the center point to the center point. And let's say we want a 350, but that's from center point to center point. So if we double click, we just click and drag the dimension, we can go max, and you see how it becomes a maximum dimension, and it automatically adds those 60 mil on each side. So we're going to go back to 350, and that's the overall diameter. So just to give us a reference, we're gonna make this create this dimension as you see, and as you see, this dimension is gray, and it cannot be changed. I'm just gonna go max to see the overall radius from the center point, and that's it. Go to features, revolve base, and you see it has a preview of what's gonna create. The axis of revolution is line 7. You can select any lines really, and you see how it starts doing the revolution from that line. So you just have to make sure you're clicking on an axis or a line to create a shape. So right here is pretty much the same as the extrude feature. You can go up to a vertex, or up to surface, or offset from surface, or a mid-plane. So you just define the degrees that you want, let's say 180, and since it's in the mid-plane, it will go like that. And if you go blind, it will allow you to go one way or the other. Just as this extrude feature, we could go in the opposite direction. So let's say 90, and we have something like a pie. For example, other thing that we could do is a thing feature. That's just gonna make it hollow. And if you go into the preview, you can see there's a thickness of 0.1, and now there's a thickness of 1. If you click on this, the thickness is going to go on the other side, and sometimes the geometry that you're trying to offset is not valid, so that's why it doesn't create anything. But for these purposes, I'm just going to go 5 mil and go inside, so it actually creates something. If you have different contours, you could select them here, and we're just going to create the shape, and you see how it creates everything. If you go edit, you can once again select the contours. So I want to create this, and it automatically selects everything. So that's one way of doing the revolution. So for example, if you went all the way around and 360 and did that thing picture, you will get this result, and then if you go here, it will give you a section view, and you will be able to see how this part is hollow in the inside, which gives me an opening to tell you about the shell feature. The shell feature is basically a hollow feature. So let's say we don't want the theme feature. We have to delete the feature. We'll keep the sketch automatically. It keeps the sketch. So we just go revolve, accept, and if you go to cut view, you can see that this view this is completely defined and solid. So if I go shell, since I only have one solid, it's gonna make the shell of that solid. So like we did before, it was 5 mil, and click OK, and it may not seem that something happened, but if I go section view, you will be able to see that thickness inside. So I'm gonna delete this shell, and now I'm gonna tell you about, I'm gonna do another revolution on the right plane, which is going to be a fairly basic one. So I'm just gonna say this is 80 and this is 180. I'm gonna say the origin and these lines are coincident. So no matter where I move the line, that line is gonna go always along that point. And I'm gonna say the height from this point to that line is 180. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the revolution again. And you see now we have two features. And we have two bodies as well. So if we go cut view, section view, you will be able to see that both of them are filled inside. So if we go now into a shell feature with a multi-body part, we go shell feature, and then we have to select here which body we want to make the feature, and go OK. And if I make the section view, you can see inside that this solid is empty while the other one is not. If we go edit this feature, it's gonna you can also leave one of the sides open, so you can select the face belonging to the part that you're making the shell. So in this case, I want this face to be empty. So if I go OK, it automatically removes that face and makes the shell in that body. So if we go and do that to the other side, we can pretty much do the same. And say we can show a preview, in this case, it is not allowing you to select another solid because there's one shell feature already. Oh, never mind, there it is. So for example, I want to make a feature of 0.1. Let's see if it let us. Yeah, it doesn't let us because we don't have enough thickness currently. I'm trying to go here, 0.1 here, and now it lets us because we didn't well, I didn't predefine the parameter there. So it's a shell of a shell, so that's possible. Okay, I'm gonna delete this shell and make the other face, the other body hollow as well with the same thickness. I'm gonna have a preview just to see what it looks like, and we've got that shape now. So that's pretty much the basics for the shell feature, and I'm gonna go and do a loft. A loft feature is basically adding material between certain profiles. So let's just go into it. As you see, I haven't created any sketches because I can use the geometry that's inside our part already. So this is the profile. I create this profile. I select the first line as a reference, and for example, this second line as a reference. And you see how it gives you a preview of a line, of a shape. You can move these points, which are just like a reference point where the shape starts and where it ends. And if you see, if I make them pretty much collinear to each other, the shape changes. So if I turn this around, you can see how the shape starts to bend. So that's just a basic shape of a candle right there. And you see that shape is quite difficult to see. So right now I'm just gonna click on my view and say I want with a view without edges, and that gives me a sort of complex shape there. So if I make a cut view, you can see that down there is hollow, up there is filled, and up here is hollow as well. Just another quick tip about the section views: you can keep the cap color right here, and it will keep the cap color, just to see what's your section there as a reference. So this is starting to look like a candle, so I might as well just finish it. I'm gonna go fillet feature, which is basically going to create a round corner. So let's just see. Oh yeah, I keep having two bodies, this shell and this loft. So for I'm gonna show you something different. You see how these features, you can always activate them or deactivate them. So I'm gonna deactivate the shell feature. I'll just give a preview of this. So that's what's going on right now, right? So if I deactivate this feature, you see how it fills that section right there. It's because we never made it hollow. And you obviously have to take into account that if for example, if I created any shape or any sketches or anything that maybe related to that hollow part in there. If I delete that hollow part in there or suppress it, all the child, all the dependents of that shape are gonna be canceled or suppressed too. So you have to be careful about that. We'll talk about that more later. That's called parents and child relationship. That happens in features and related assembly parts or sketches or anything like that. So right now this looks a little bit weird because we have that view turned on without edges. And I'm gonna go ahead and go real view graphics. That's gonna let me see somewhat rendered of what I'm doing, and that depends on your video card. So you just have to be careful about trying to do it. So if I suppress this, you can see now that I have that feature and this feature. I'm gonna try and see if I can merge the faces, and you see how the scope of this feature is just selecting that that shell. So I'm going to select the second one too, and now I only have one body. And the reason I wanted one body is because the Fillet feature works on one body at a time. So I'm gonna select the edge and select the inner edge of here. There you go. And yeah, that's the only two edges I'm gonna select for now. And you can change this, and if you go full preview, you will be able to see how it's gonna look. Fillets are fairly complex, so I'm gonna talk about this with more detail later as well. So I'm just gonna have a radius that looks better. So as you see, we're having now a better shape of what we used to have. I'm gonna change the turned off the perspective, and turned off the real graphics, and turned on my shaded with edges, just to be able to see that radius right there. So as any feature, you can always change it automatically, and you see how that affects our shape. And that's only because we've got our instant 3D turned on right there. So I'm gonna go 10, and that's where we're having as of now. So now that we've done this candle, this candle holder, we might as well just put a fairly easy handle. So since this is a revolution and a symmetric part, we can just select any plane that gives us the profile. So in this case, I'm going to select the right plane, sketch, and let's say I want the line. Just create a line from there to there, go back to the point, make the handle, and go down here. So if I make the lines, if I see the lines, you will be able to snap it. It will be easier for you to snap. So that's everything we're doing there. Let's say we want a 35-degree. You want a overall height of 250, and let's say we want this to be 40. Okay, let's say 50 again. And the only thing you have to find is maybe the angle of here. But I've got a better idea. Since this point is always going to be in this line just because of that coincident feature, we can say these two are always going to be tangent. So right now we just have to say what angle do we want it, because that line is always going to be tangent to that circle, and you can see up there on the right side how the circle updates to make that relationship true. And an easy way to do it is select two lines that are not parallel, and it will give you an angle. So just as you can do fillets on the features, you can also do fillets on the sketches. So yeah, there it is. I have a sketch fillet. You just have to select two lines or a point, and just say how much you want that fillet for. Let's say I want 15. It may give you a warning if that point is referenced to something else, but in this case it didn't give me anything, so happy with that. And we just have a line there. So you may be thinking, what can we do now, right? So we select the sketch, and we can go sweat pause base. This feature is it allows you to select the profile on a path, and it's gonna copy that profile over all the path. So just to give you an example, in this case you have two options, which is a sketch profile or a circular profile. So if you select circular profile, it's going to create a circle, and it's going to copy it along the line that you've done. So that's pretty much giving us our handle right there. And you can go theme feature if you wanted to, but I don't think it's necessary right now. Let's say options. Okay, so right now it's giving me an error there, and it's telling me it's going to create a zero thickness geometry, and that's because this profile is normal to that line. So and that face is cylindrical, so there's no way it can get stuck to each other. So I'm gonna unclick the merge result, which is obviously gonna give me two bodies right there, and you will be able to see what I'm talking about right there. You see how this shape hasn't gone all the way up to the next body, and that's why it was giving me an error. Zero thickness means you're trying to stick something in a point or a line, so that's why it's not sticking onto anything. In this case, this one is going through, but not all the way through. So we can fix that easily by, let's just say, let's hide this body. What I just did is just click on the body and hide. And there's other methods of doing what I'm about to do, but I'm just gonna do it with what you already know. Since this is a face, I can create a sketch, and since this is a circle, I can just convert the circle, convert entities, and that's gonna make the circle projected onto the plane, which is gonna be the same circle. And since this is a face, can select the plane and can make a sketch, and can always convert entities, and it will project the circle into the face, which is going to give us the same circle. So now I have two sketches, and I'm going to show this body again, and use the same, show the body. There you go. And I'm gonna extrude this sketch, and you say up to body or up to next. And remember I told you about the projection. You see how it's starting to fill stuff here? So that's one, and that's stuck together now. And the same with the other one. Extrude up to next. And you can now see what I was talking about, the difference in shape. You see what's gonna create. It's It's going to do it, and we're done. So just to give it a little bit, just give it a better shape. I'm just since it's all now a complete body, I'm just going to create a fillet and use these edges and make them so they are not sharp. And now if we hide the edges, you can see how it's looking all smooth and nice. And finally, just to have a little bit more fun with SolidWorks, I'm going to create the candle. So sketch, and you can actually use section views. So just to show you what I'm talking about, I'm gonna show the edges, go section view on another plane, which is that one, and I'm gonna start creating a line from the center point of that section. Now I'm gonna go Control 8 or normal 2, which is gonna give me the same shape. There you go. So now I'm gonna click on this point, click on that point, and make them vertical, and say I'm gonna create a center line, which is just a line with a construction geometry, and I'm gonna say the candle is 110 mil diameter, and I'm gonna end this one with a like a cone shape. And if you hover over that point or that line, and if you go up, it's gonna give you a preview of the projection of the line, so it's easier for you to follow that line. And then just go up, down, and say this is let's say 420. And since we haven't defined this line either, it's not completely defined, but now like we did, is completely defined. So just to go back to that revolve feature, we'll revolve the feature and unmerge the result. So that means we're going to have two bodies now, which you can see right there. If I hide the lines, it's starting to look better. So now that we've done this, we can actually start changing the dimensions just to make it look better. So for now, the candle looks probably too short, so I'm just gonna drag it, and you can see how it updates automatically. Same on the other side, just to have a better shape right there. And this is where good design thinking comes into hand. So let's say we had it as before, right? You had these two dimensions to play with, right? So I'm gonna change the edit to sketch, Control 8, and go normal 2. And instead of changing this dimension, instead of defining these two dimensions, I'm gonna delete this one and say from this point, well, I'm gonna select the line and go horizontally to the right or left, and it's gonna give me the height. And I'm gonna say this is 50. So now whenever I drag my new dimension, it's always gonna be the same on the top. So that's something that you have to take into account just to make your life easier and not have to change a bunch of stuff just to get the same end result that you wanted before, and get in your calculator and try to subtract whatever you want. So even this doesn't look as good, so I'm just going to change it to 70, update it. You can see how it's starting to look better now. So we just need that little rope that goes out of it, and for that I'm gonna again select the right plane, sketch, and as you may have thoughts already, I'm gonna use a I'm gonna use the set boss with a circular profile. Just gonna select the profile and say, just give it a better result there. And that looks just about good. And I'm gonna, into options, I'm not gonna merge the result, because if you zoom in, you'll see how this this projection of the circle is not closing in. But we can try to fix it. But I just don't want to do it in this, because it's just too little to notice. So right there we have our candle holder and our candle. And just to give it a little bit more realism, you can go into appearances right here, or you can go appearances right here, or appearances right here. So appearances, you can drag and drop any appearance you have. So I want metal, and this is going to be polished gold. And you can apply the appearance to a face, that feature, that body, or the whole part. So that's why I didn't want to merge all the parts. Oh, sorry, all the bodies, because that was going to be easier for me to when I apply the appearances. So that's one appearance. Let's see if I can find a appearance for the wax. I'm not sure we have wax here. I don't think we do. Okay, I found some cloth. This carpet color looks just about right for that ignition part. So I'm just gonna do it for the body. And I keep thinking about that wax. Studio materials. So you can just look for it over here. You can also use your own materials, and you can download stuff from the internet and stuff like that. But that's on another part of this series. So I'm gonna try and find something that looks close to wax. Painted, no, metal, no. Okay, maybe just textured. Yeah, textured plastic right here. And there you go. You have your candle right there. And if you want to give it a little bit more realism, I'm gonna go into more detail this on another subject, but just gonna show you a preview of what I'm talking about. You can go render tools and preview render, just to give it a little bit more realism, which is gonna do a rendered image for you of what you have done. And you can see now it looks better, but just to have it with a better view, because you cannot see the handle and you can see that side right there. I'm gonna click on that, on the space, and then click on that view. So I go preview window again, and I should have a better rendering without showcasing my handle there and not showing that tip that I don't like. So that's just a preview, and you can save it as something as a name and as a JPEG, I believe. Yeah, just as a JPEG. And yeah, that's gonna do it for today. So I hope you like the series. You can ask me some questions about this stuff in the comments, or look it up on YouTube. And hope you like hope you like this chapter. So I'm gonna go into more detail about this rendering stuff in the future, as well as some other advanced features with those fillets and the loft and the swept space. So see you next time. Oh, sorry, I just realized you won't be able to see this this preview window. So you can have an integrated preview, which is just next to the window, and now you can see what I was looking at, which is that. It looks cool. All right, see you later.